Good afternoon. We are here for the Azim Premji University live Q&A session for the Law and Development Program. My name is Arun Thiruvengadam. I teach on the LL.M Programme. I'm joined by two of our current students, Gautaman and Nikita, who are going to graduate very soon, but they've come here to interact with people who are interested in the program and want to know more about it. So I see that we have quite a few people who've logged in already. So I think the way we go about it is that there's a live chat function, and you can, if you have any queries, you can start typing them up, and we will look at the queries and then sort of respond spontaneously. So yes, those of you who are here should type away. Okay, while we're waiting, maybe I should start by asking Nikita and Gautaman to perhaps say a little bit about their experience, and I suppose you can avoid the superlatives and the adjectives. So a year ago, as we just discovered, Nikita and Gautaman were on the other side of the screen and were making a decision about whether to join this program. And they are here, and in a way what they have to say might be far more valuable for those who are considering whether this is a good option. So maybe I'll turn it over to both of you, and you can say a bit about how the experience has been and how you can provide inputs to those who are waiting to make a decision.
Yeah, I'll start with just very brief introduction about me before I joined the LL.M course, to put it in perspective as to why I chose to do this LL.M. I graduated in 2010, and since then I have done various things, including starting off as a corporate lawyer, moving on into litigation, and finally working with human rights organization. And it's been 6 years since I graduated, actually 7 if you include the LL.M year. And so I just felt the need to be in a space to reflect on some of the things I've been doing for the last 6 years. And I saw the APU program, and I saw the faculty, and I thought it looks like a great place, and it's in Bangalore, and I was based out of Bangalore already. So that's how I just decided to apply, and this is the only course I applied to. It's not like I applied to multiple programs and I got through this. So it was a very course-specific decision that I took, and yeah, it's been. I mean, like in the morning also, it's just sinking in for us that it's been 1 year already, and we are on this side of the screen. I think the one question that people often ask me is that why not a foreign LL.M? That's often the question asked, like, why you have work experience, you have this, then you should be ideally going out and doing LL.M, because that seems like the immediate thing to do. So my response is that, to start with, financially, Azim Premji University is reasonable is actually an understatement compared to some of the fee structures of the foreign universities. And secondly, the faculty have been phenomenal in the last 1 year, and I felt that if I need to get the same experience somewhere else just for the brand value, it didn't really make sense. So I would say that in the last 1 year sitting here now, I don't regret my decision at all. And Nikita can add on to things, and then we can see if there's some questions.
So unlike Gautaman, I graduated from law school last year, so in 2016, so I came here right from law school. And I think, of course, the law school that I went to, and I'm sure this is the case with most law schools across the country, is that the engagement of law with the social sciences or other disciplines is fairly limited, and in some law schools close to nothing, right? So for me, this program was an important way to engage with other disciplines, because I think, and I think Gautaman can attest to it, the major highlight of this program is the fact that it's interdisciplinary, and the fact that we're in a university space with not just law students but with students from other disciplines as well, which adds on to your understanding of the law and your engagement with other disciplines. And of course, the faculty that they are teaching these courses are extremely motivated, and you're just not learning from lawyers, but you're learning from anthropologists and political scientists, which is a different experience altogether. And and the fact that we're a small class and it's a small cohort, where this year we are 19 and I'm sure next year also it will be a small class size. I think that really adds on to your class experience and the way you're engaging with text, the way you're learning. And for me, that has been really helpful. And yeah, as Gautaman said, that among law students especially, there is this pressure to do an LL.M abroad, and everybody's constantly asking these questions. And I think the fact that this particular course is the same kind of academic rigor and is also financially extremely viable was for me an important factor, and I think I've really enjoyed the time that I've spent here at the university.
Okay, thanks Gautaman and Nikita. I see that a couple of people have commented. So Mahendra Kumar Thakur says it's good to listen. Good to have you here, Mahendra, and please feel free to ask questions. Samir Sheikh wants to know about placements after doing the LL.M from APU. So let me just start, and then maybe both of you can supplement. So the way it's turned out, if you've seen the program, when we designed it, the idea was to create a sort of socially engaged sort of lawyer, right? And that's a very, as Nikita mentioned, that can have a very broad ambit. I don't think those of us who were part of designing the program had very specific outcomes in mind, but we hope to engage with people who find the regular LLB and the entire sort of career path, which has become the convention over the last 25 years. If you go join a corporate law firm or become an in-house counsel, those options the national law universities have done a good job of creating. But for those who are interested in alternative careers, including becoming legal academics or working with NGOs in the social sector, the NLU system has not generally done a very good job of doing that. And so that's primarily what we thought a specialized course which focuses on issues of law and development would aim at doing. So in Gautaman and Nikita's batch, they are the pioneer batch, and depending on what they do, we get a sense of what a socially engaged lawyer wants to do. As it turns out, several of their classmates, including I think Gautaman himself, want to think of legal academic careers. Right? So that's one obvious career trajectory. And in terms of placements, we have tried to work out arrangements with many institutions, and we can tell you more details about actual interviews with national law universities and other places where people can pursue legal academic careers. Beyond that, we've also tried to facilitate placement programs and internships with NGOs. I should say that this is a master's program. We expect people who come in to be self-motivated and self-directed. We see our job really as facilitated. So with the first batch as well, I think we sort of, after as the course was going along, we asked people what are the career options that you want to pursue, and we tried to then step in and provide links. And this is going to be an iterative process. I think as each batch comes in, we expect that the makeup of students will change, the kind of careers they want to pursue might change, and we will try and act accordingly. But I want to emphasize that we don't see our focus as necessarily going out and getting jobs for all the students in our program. That's what the NLUs do, and they take pride in that, and that's good for them. But part of being a socially engaged lawyer, we think, is having the ability to also think for yourself and work out your own options. What we see our job, and I emphasize this, is facilitating. Because we've been around a bit longer, we have links with a number of organizations. We will try and be conduits for those options to work out. Yeah? Maybe let's get both Gautaman and Nikita to pitch in on that, and I see more questions coming up, so I'll try and keep a tab of those questions. Yeah.
So the placement opportunities. So right now at the Students University, as you know, there are 4 different programs. There's the MA Education, MA Development, and there is the Masters in Public Policy Governance and the LL.M. So the other three programs have a placement cell and a placement process that is much older than, of course, the LLM placement cell, because we are just a year old. And also a lot of jobs that come through the placement cell for the other three programs might not be exactly what lawyers may be looking at, though we have exceptions where lawyers have shown interest in the kind of placement that's come through the rest of the programs also. So in order to make sure that the LLM students have placements which are more tuned into law based career, we set up a placement cell. It's a student based, 3 people volunteered, and we work closely with the administration to ensure that the placement is going smoothly. So broadly right now the placement is on 2 heads. One is legal academia, as Arun pointed out, and the other is broadly litigation and NGO, research and so on. With the legal academics, we out of batch of 19, 3 people already have job offers. One at the NMIMS Law School and the other 2 with the BMS Law School, which is in Bangalore. One thing that I do want to add is about the internship opportunities, because often internships provide a stepping stone to a placement, and the internship program, the first year was quite successful, I would say. I interned at the National Law University, Delhi, with Professor Mrinal Satish and Aparna with the Center for Constitutional Law Policy and Governance, and it was a month-long internship, and it was great to be based out of a research center in an academic institution which was doing both research, which is not necessarily linked to your academic teaching program, and also having classroom engagement which feeds into the with the research. So we have had 3 people who had offered internships at NLU Delhi. 2 of us did it. The other person was working with Professor MP Singh. We had an internship, one of our classmates who did it at NLS Bangalore, and Nikita can of course add on. She had a very different kind of an internship, which was clerking with a judge at the Karnataka High Court. So right now, it does look promising. Again, we have another month left for us all to, and there are a lot of us who haven't really sat for internship. I mean, for placements, because there are a few who are very clear that they want to do litigation, for instance, and so they didn't really sit for placements.
Nikita. Sorry, thanks Gautam. Nikita, before you jump in, case 123 has the same question. What kind of working opportunities are the students of current batch getting? And I think Gautaman has given you more details. I think Gautaman's also taken care of Gautam Dembla's question. I'm a litigator practicing in the High Court. I intend coming back to litigation after the LLM. What advantage and learning can I expect from the program? So, as Gautaman mentioned, there are some people who want to go back into litigation. Perhaps Gautaman and Nikita can talk. Gautaman's been a litigator himself, and they can probably address that in the second round. So now to Nikita, who will tell us about the clerkship experiences,
Yeah.
which might also benefit someone who wants to think of litigation as a career option. Right?
So the LLM class as it stands currently has varied interests, right? So we have a bunch of students who want to teach and who want to be academics, and then there are students who want to work with NGOs, with organizations that are doing CSR work, and with research think tanks. So I, for one, I fall in the latter category, wherein I want to explore some research work. And the internship that I did was with Justice Vineet Kothari at the Karnataka High Court, which was very helpful in exploring how the litigation aspect of law functions, also working with a judge and researching. It was a crucial experience, like Arun said. So the way our placements are functioning right now, of course there are 3 students from our class that are volunteered, and it's a class with varied interests, and the faculty and the administration is ensuring that they facilitate each of these interests that people have. So I have applied to several fellowships currently, and I've applied to an organization that does some research and litigation work, and I think the support has been, the faculty has utilized its own networks, the administration has facilitated this process, and I think the facilitation of the process is not just to the extent of engaging with these organizations, but also helping us work on our resumes and work on our covering letters and statements of purposes, which has been extremely helpful just to prepare us for the interview process. So I think this kind of course, hands-on approach and facilitative approach to placements is something that has been extremely valuable thus far. So,
and if I can just briefly give a background about the current batch, it might help also to add on to some of the responses. So we have had quite a mixed batch, like we are a class of 19, and we come from law schools across the country. You have people from NUALS, NLS Bangalore, Lucknow University, NUSRL, GLC, Faculty of Law Delhi,
the law school in Raipur,
HNLU Raipur. So it's quite a mixed batch, and with regard to work experience also, it's quite diverse. You have broadly 11 of us who have had at least 2 to 3 years of experience, and 8 of us who are fresh graduates. And the people who have work experience again have a very diverse work experience. Somebody who's been litigating in Delhi for a long time, somebody who have been doing judicial clerkship for the last 3 years in litigation. You have people working for various NGOs, labor rights organizations, human rights organizations, environmental organizations. So I can just go on, so you can get a sense of the kind of diversity that is there within just the 19 students. And the question on how does it help litigation is actually a question that kept recurring in our research methodology course last semester, where we wanted to see the immediate utility of some of the things that we learn. And I think I'd actually draw from what Nikita said last week in one of the open houses, is that of course there are certain things which you can very tangibly take into your litigation practice itself, but a lot of things also is just about enriching your perspective, because as a litigating lawyer, I do think that, I have been litigating before this LLM, I do think that it helps to have very different perspectives even when you are in front of the court, though you might not see it in as many words. Exactly. So
thanks very much for that. There's a question from Mukta who asks whether there's a program, whether the LL.M program provides for student exchange programs during the academic year with other universities or with a foreign university. So the short answer is no, and maybe this is a good time to sort of emphasize that this is a 1-year intensive program. This has replaced the 2-year LL.M program that used to exist in the old system, which is the one that I did. I should emphasize that this is a very rigorous program. So this is really not for everyone. Just to give you a sense, and I hope if you haven't done so yet, please take a look at the pages on the website which give you the breakup of what you're supposed to do in this 1 year. So Gautam and Nikita, I'm particularly grateful they've taken out time, because this is a very stressful period for them. They have to finish up their dissertations. They've just finished a 9-month field engagement for which they're writing their reports. You have mandatory courses. In addition to the courses prescribed by the UGC, we have a core course on law and development, which is also in addition, as I said, to what you would usually do. So this is really not a program that you can sort of walk in half-heartedly and say, oh, let me just spend 1 year in the grooves of academia. The minute you get in, you're really running, right? And you're probably running the year round. So I do want to emphasize that we want to invite people to apply to us and be part of our program. But this is not a program for the faint-hearted. And I think both Nikita and Gautam can also give you further evidence to support that claim. Yeah.
I actually want to add on to that. I mean, of course, the course is rigorous and it does not leave enough room for there to be exchange programs, and rightly so, it's a 1-year master's program. But we have, attended conferences. We went to the Law and Social Sciences conference in the month of December. So where we met people who have been working in the law and social sciences field at in Delhi, and it's an academic engagement, but it's outside of the classroom that we stepped out. And also in the month of October, we met Professor Rajappa in Mysore, who spoke about jurisprudence and the value of jurisprudence. And attending these lectures, of course, it's a great break from the course, and it's also an academic engagement that's outside of the classroom, and you're working with academics in the field, and some of them we had read in class for various courses, and I think these are valuable experiences. And so I think the way the course is designed and the way the outside classroom experiences, I don't think there is anything that an exchange program can add to this that will be of any value.
Yeah, and I thought I'll just take you through the things that I have done in the last 9 months to give a sense of how intensive the course is, so there would be no scope for any exchange program, because as soon as you walk in, you have 3 core courses and 1 elective in your first semester. The 3 courses are one on research methodology and legal writing, second one is on law and justice, the third one is law and development. And the elective that I took in the first semester was the philosophical foundations of private law, and your field engagement starts from the first semester. There are 9 different clinics or projects that are offered, and you can choose which project you want to be a part of. I was a part of the human rights project, and we worked on people from Northeast who are living in Bangalore. Then you have a break in between, and during that break you have an internship opportunity. As I said, I interned with the National University Delhi for a period of 1 month, and immediately after the internship was when the LASNet was happening at Delhi, and APU facilitated our participation at LASNet, which was one of the highlights for a lot of us in the program. Then when you come back, you again, the next semester you have 1 core course which is on comparative constitutional law taught by Arun, and you have 2 electives that you can take. Some of the electives that are on offer and that I have taken are human rights, development and democracy. The other elective is on philosophical foundations of political institutions and feminism and law. So amidst all this, you also have the dissertation that happens across the 9 months, which is facilitated by 2 professors who anchor the dissertation program with workshops and writing support and so on. So that's to just give a very quick bird's eye view of the structure of the program in the 9 months or so.
Right. Thanks very much. I should say, and this is following from what Nikita as well said, that since we are located in a broader university, Azim Premji University has a very active program of inviting academics from around the world, around the country, to come and give public talks and have public interaction. So I think for their batch, we had Professor Upendra Bakshi, who was resident in Bangalore, and with us for about a week. He gave 2 public talks and came to at least 3 classes where people had an opportunity to interact with him, which I think was a very unique sort of privilege. As we all know, Professor Bakshi is one of the tallest of our academics, and engaging with him in a classroom setting is a rare privilege. Likewise, we have for people across the range, as Nikita said, if you're interested in the social sciences and humanities, you can take a look at the APU YouTube channel, where you'll find a range of people, activists, academics, scholars of various hues, who come and give these talks, where students have an opportunity to interact with them here. So just to emphasize that you will have a lot on your hands here and many options, and that's why we haven't thought of trying to work out an exchange program in the midst of what is already a very packed schedule. Okay, we still have a few people with us, but I think we've tackled the questions that have come forward till now. I would encourage those of you who are watching and have other queries to type away and let us know what you want to find out more about. I'm just thinking, is there anything else that you would want to talk about? Maybe the university and the schedule that you've set out is daunting, but maybe tell us also about not just the seriousness of it,
Yes.
but hopefully it's not all been hard work and pain, and that you've also had things that young people who are at a certain stage of their life come back to university because they want to, as you said, many people have worked for several years and wanted to come back to the university space for other things, right? So maybe, and that's something I'm genuinely curious about because I don't know very much about it. So maybe you can tell me a little bit about student life on campus and what have been some of the highlights for you.
No, I'm glad you said that. In fact, when I was thinking, oh, we sounded so grim, maybe you should speak of some of the likeness that is there in the 1 year program also. And in fact, immediately after this, we will be going for a class photo and the farewell. The university, like for me, as in university, I think I shared this with Nikita also once, that you never know what to expect when you enter the foyer area at the University. Like you always have something or the other happening, it's always bustling with activities. You'll have students putting up their photo exhibition from the field project that they just finished, or you will have stalls that are set out for a particular day, or you will have Pahal, which is a group that works with children in the neighboring slum area, and and they organize blood donation camps. So all that happens. In a more clearer way to give a sense of some of the groups that are there at APU, you have the Debating Development Initiative, which is a student-run body which hopes to make space for conversations in the university, not outside of the classroom. And they have been very successful. There's also Difficult Dialogues, which conducts conversations around topics that are not very easy, as the name suggests, to be discussing about. And you do have the Students Club, which organizes events, tries to organize event every Friday if possible, but they try and at least have an event once in 2 weeks. This includes things like karaoke and sitting. Recently, we just concluded the Word Book Day series, where all we did was sit in the lawn area between two buildings, Pixel A and Pixel B, about which you'll find out once you get in here, and we just read excerpts from books that we liked. So it's quite a very active student life, and again the emphasis. It is very unique that it is not a law school in which this LL.M program is based. So you do have students from the development program, education, and the public policy and governance, and you have like diverse perspective, and even the colloquium lectures that happens once every week. You get speakers like one of the talk was called "Mummy, why did Sita leave Rama if he loved her?" And it's like, and just out of curiosity you go and attend these talks, and it never disappoints you. There's something new you always pick up from these colloquium talks as well. So yeah, you don't have much of a dull moment here ever.
Nikita, do you want to add?
No, so I can actually talk about, because I lived in the hostel, so I can talk about the accommodation experience, of course. So the hostels, there's a boys' hostel and a girls' hostel, which is located in the vicinity of the campus. It's about half a kilometer from the university campus, and the university has made arrangements for transport from the hostel to the university. And the living spaces, of course, you're living with students who are from across the country and across courses. So it's a great experience because there are things that happen in the hostel. It's a very good peer support system also, because these are people that you're studying with, so they're aware of the academic pressures that you're facing. And also it's the experience of living in a community, also has its own value. Like the hostel has its own farewell, and there's a reading room in the hostel where all sorts of discussions happen, and during presentations you have students from the day scholars also coming there and spending some time. So this is, of course, it really enriches the experience of being in a university. And Yeah, so I think as Gautaman mentioned, about the electives, I did the elective on anthropology, which for me was extremely fascinating, and I took a class with students from the MA development course. So that elective really shaped the way, and it was an elective that was taught by an anthropologist. That elective really shaped the way in which you look at the law and your understanding of the law, and also the way non-lawyers see the law, because we're so used to being in a classroom where everybody has the same sort of training, and just being in a class with people whose training is different and whose disciplines are different really just adds on to your understanding of your own subject and broadens your perspective to things.
Yeah, thanks very much, Nikita. I think that's also relevant for Gautam's question. His question is for those intending to apply for a PhD abroad. Will the LLM offer a good platform? As Gautam and Nikita already mentioned, there is a dissertation requirement which is taken quite seriously. The dissertation word length is about 10,000 words. So you work on it, as Gautam mentioned, from pretty much the first month that you come here. You are encouraged, nudged and pushed to choose a topic that works for you, and then you work on it across the year. So that's a substantial piece of academic writing that you engage in, and you complete that in the year. In other courses that you take, there is sometimes the option of writing a research paper. Again, that trains you in research methodology. How do you craft a paper? That I think the usual word length is about 6,000 words, and you work on those papers, and you're graded and get input from faculty and your peers. So in a way, it perhaps makes sense that the LLM will naturally seem to provide for an academic career because of its requirements, and I think some of our current students are applying to PhD programs both within the country and abroad. I should say that what Nikita mentioned, the interdisciplinary aspect is also a huge plus. So typically, if you've been part of the NLU system, you've studied in a single faculty university, you have a BA LLB degree, but the BA component is not really a rigorous social science exposure, because the courses there are seen as leading up to, say, political sciences taught as a precursor to constitutional law. Whereas at APU, because we work with other schools, and as Nikita mentioned, she goes and takes courses where people from the discipline teach those courses. You are forced to sort of question your own assumptions, learn a lot of new skills, including covering vast amounts of literature. The trend in most good universities in a PhD program is you're expected to know not just your primary field, but also no other fields. So in that sense, I would venture to say that an LLM in a multi-faculty university, of which there are very few in India, is going to benefit you if you are thinking of taking the academic route. Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that on people who are contemplating PhDs later?
Yeah. No, I think also because the faculty has been very helpful for those who want to apply for PhD programs and are currently in the process, because they've studied at universities abroad and they've done their PhDs from universities abroad, so they know what this procedure entails, and I think it really helps to work on your application under the guidance of those who've been through this grind themselves. So yeah.
Yeah, Mohammed Khalif has a specific question about since the LLM starts in July and some LLB results will come out in the second week of August. Mohammed, you seem to be worried about whether you will pass. I very much hope that you will pass, because I think that will be a requirement for us to admit you in the LLM. But I think there is some provision for universities which don't have their final results coming out, and we give a certain leeway for people to be able to submit their final results, undergraduate results, while they're in the program. So that by itself is not a problem, but if you don't complete your LLB fully, that may be a problem. So if I'm not sure whether you've written your final exams yet or not, but I would suggest that you apply yourself to clearing them so that you can be a part of our program.
There's a question by KS123.
Mm.
How does the program help the students who want to pursue a career in academia? We did cover substantial parts of it, but I thought I'd just add one thing. Like I said, 2 of my classmates have been placed at BMS Law College, so they had to go give a presentation, and so there was a demo class that was facilitated to ensure that when you go there, you are prepared. So just little things like that really helps. Like Nikita already pointed out, writing her CV, the statement of purpose, we received quite a bit of help from the faculty and the graduate fellows. And just the courses, and for me personally, what I really liked about the LM course with an eye on legal academia is how much you learn by just seeing the faculty facilitate the classes also. Because you're very used to certain kind of pedagogy in law schools, which is often has a very big class of like 80 and 100, and that then the way in which you approach a class is very different. But here, just anchoring the class around certain key questions and the emphasis on readings, which is very important, and that's something that I think we did mention over our preview of the course. There is a very strong emphasis, and rightly so, on reading and coming to class, because the discussion happens around the reading. So it really helps to to learn from seeing the way the class is facilitated, on how you may want to facilitate classes when you move into a career in academia. So that's one thing else.
Yeah, so there's a follow-up question to that, Gautam, in terms of how do you also conduct the classes. So Sahana's question is, examinations conducted in a traditional manner, or is it continuous assessment and added up to our scores? So I think the answer is it varies. So in some of the core courses, so as Gautam mentioned, we have 19 students in this pioneer batch. But we expect to cap the batch size at about 25. And that's done with a very deliberate purpose. The idea, as both of them have mentioned, is that we recognize that if you keep student-faculty ratios to ideal levels, learning in education is enhanced. And that's very much something that we want to do. But depending on courses, what you're being assessed on might vary. So there are some core courses where we follow a midterm and an end term. But I think typically in almost every class you have a short comment or a response paper component where you submit something in writing during the course, and you get feedback from the instructor on your writing with a view to improving your writing. The classes are small, so class participation is typically assessed, and it can be done in a reasonably fair sort of way. In some classes, you have to make presentations in class, and they are assessed. So in a class that we just finished and Nikita was a part of, that was an elective where the deliverable was a research paper, right? There was no exam in that course at all. You were graded for the proposal that you submitted, the first draft, the presentation that you made in class, and then the final paper that you presented. So it's entirely based on that, and there's also a class participation component for that. So it really depends on the kind of course, and I imagine that the courses that you take in other schools, depending on the disciplines, they might have other ways of assessing student performance. So yes, but at the same time I should say that we do also recognize that a traditional exam may have a value and a purpose. Those who want to become academics have to take the NET exam. We try and also help our students deal with that and engage with that as well. So yeah, so I think there's a range of possibilities on that front.
Yeah, like most of the exams are take-home essays, and it's like it's very interesting, and some of the exams are a lot of fun. I mean, like last semester, Arun's midterm was essentially a YouTube video asking us to analyze the video in light of the readings that we have done, and the video was of the Deputy Prime Minister of Singapore visiting India to speak to all the ministers and the bureaucrats. And I still remember once people opened that question and they were all sending messages on WhatsApp saying, didn't expect this. So you have very innovative ways of assessment, and there is a very strong focus on writing. So most courses have a written component, be it by way of a response paper or an essay. And for instance, my human rights, democracy and development course, we have to submit an outline of an essay, then we have to defend the outline, and on the basis of feedback that you receive, you work on the essay and you submit, and that's the most substantial part of your evaluation. And there's also marks for attendance and class participation, which sometimes is a contested category, and faculty come up with ways in which it can be done in more clearer ways. So for instance, in Arun's course that we just concluded classes for, we had small group discussions, and we would take notes. One rapporteur would take notes and we'll upload the notes on Moodle, which is a platform that you will hear a lot about once you join. It's essentially where all the readings are uploaded and classroom discussions are uploaded. And on the basis of the small group discussions, it became one of the bases in which your participation was assessed. So there's, and for instance, in feminism course, we had a content review, which was that you could review a film or a book or a law on the basis of the text that you have engaged in. So it's innovative but yet rigorous. So you cannot not have read those things and try and do a content review. If you do that, it does come across. So I feel like this kind of assessment gives you a better opportunity to engage with the readings closer, because the reading is in front of you. You're not being tested on which paragraph, which author said what.
Yeah, no, I just want to add on to that is that, the way we learn in law schools in generally is that there is a lot of emphasis on memorizing and reproducing information, which is not the case here. Of course, you engage with the course material, but you engage with the course material in a way is that you display your understanding of the course material, which does not necessarily mean you reproduce information from the course material in a 3-hour exam. You are tested on your ability to how well you reproduce the information that you have memorized. So that is really helpful because it really forces you to think. I mean, I've taken 2 of Arun's, done 2 co-courses with Arun and an elective, and the response paper that we write, there is always a strong emphasis on formulating your opinion and making sure that your voice shines through the work that or the way in which you engage with the readings. So I think that really helps in formulating your own understanding and formulating your own voice when it comes to the text that you're engaging with, and not merely passively consuming information.
Okay, thanks for that. I think the final question, we're coming up at 1:45. We have another 15 minutes to go, but let's see. It looks like we are getting to the stage where people want more broad advice. So this is for both of you directly, and I shall say nothing more than just reading out the question. What would the current students' advice be to future students about the program and life at APU in general?
I think the program is rigorous, as they said, but you don't have to be stressed about the rigor. I think the way it's an extremely motivated faculty, and they're coming to class when you know that if you've put in 2 hours of prep the night before, you know that they put in the same amount, if not more, to prepare for class. And I think these are wonderful discussions that happen in life at APU is vibrant because, like I said, you're engaging with people from across the board. There are people from different parts of the country, and that really adds value to your entire experience, and not just to your classroom experience, but overall your experience of the university. So I think you should just come with an open mind, and I think it's all good.
Yeah. No, I mean, to start with, as cliche as it might sound, but really have fun because I came from 6 years of working of it. Substantial parts of it was litigation, and the kind of clockwork life you have to lead when you are litigating is quite crazy. Like you have to appear at 11. If you have to appear at 11, if you cannot be a minute here and there, your matter might be just whatever gone by the time you reach. So it's, you know, so for me, what is really nice about APU is that it is definitely rigorous, but it is rigorous in a nice way. Like, you know, it's not like it drains you out and you know, tires you out. So for me, even when I have had like a tiring day, it's been like a satisfying day a lot of times. Of course, there are days when you will be like really tired, but you have days and you have days, as they say. So it's but other than that, what I really want to emphasize for that question is make as much use of the faculty as possible. Because a lot of people, actually, it's quite a new experience to even something as simple as calling the faculty by their first name, which you're not used to. But you know, it's not like they say you I mean, it's like a given sometimes, and you know, it gives you a sense of approachability, you know, and the way you perceive faculty is very different here. I think that I think you should make it to the best of your you know, use. I mean, of course, that doesn't mean that you don't fix up appointments before going and meeting a faculty.
But the fact that you can
the fact that you can at least drop in a mail saying I need to discuss this and block out a faculty's time itself is quite amazing. So I think so just use that, and also at a more personal level for me, the LL.M course has also been an opportunity to cultivate friendships, which I thought was almost not possible. I thought, okay, I'll come, it's a 1-year program, I'll be done and I'll leave. And now, of course, at a juncture where we are kind of saying goodbyes and everything, I realized the kind of deep friendships that have been created on the basis of political beliefs, working together, you know, and all kinds of things. And I think that's something you should totally do when you're here.
And I think just Arun often said this in our class, is that, you know, you take ownership of your education. The space lets you do that, and I think you should totally go ahead and own the education that you are receiving, because the faculty is open to suggestions, recommendations about the reading, the way the course is structured, and I think you should assume that ownership and go ahead and give your feedback and your input to the way the courses are conducted.
Okay, I see that we don't have any more questions. We may have silenced everyone and exhausted everyone, but I want to should we, I think that should be around, yeah, hopefully we've answered the questions of people who are attending and people who may want to watch this later. I should say that if there are any lingering questions, and if some of you had very specific questions which you don't want to air in a public forum, you should feel free to write to us at APU and at the School of Policy and Governance. Please go to the website. You'll find links with information and email contacts that you can write to. So I want to say that this has been a pleasure. I'm very glad that I signed up for this, because I've got to learn about what Gautaman and Nikita have experienced. I teach here, but I obviously don't go into every class, and listening to you gives me a very good sense of what's happening in the different parts of the university, and I want to thank you for making time as what I said was a busy time for you as well. So I hope you've all benefited from this, and we look forward to hearing from you virtually, and hopefully seeing several of you in the near future. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.